Conversing is produced and distributed in partnership with Comet Magazine and Fuller Seminary. I'm Mark Labberton. Welcome to Conversing. In between my longer conversations with people who fascinate and inspire and challenge me, I share a short personal reflection, a focused episode that brings you the ideas, stories, questions, ponderings, and perspectives that animate conversing and give voice to the purpose and heart of the show. Thanks for listening with me. Listening is actually seeing. That is, it's a full-bodied experience, and it involves perception. And perception is almost always, in part, visual, if we have the gift of sight. And even if we don't have the gift of sight, people who are blind are able to perceive in ways that they learn to do over the course of their life. Perception is critical to hearing. If I perceive you in a certain way, and I'm not seeing you truly, then I'm mishearing you, because then I'm taking your words and moving them in directions that you probably don't intend and many times don't deserve. But if I'm actually seeing you and then I'm hearing you, then it doubles the thickness of that communication moment, and it adds so much to my understanding of what's really being said. So if we're going to be good listeners, we have to be good seers. And that means there's a whole lot more invested than just letting words pass our ears or cross our eyes. I can tell when I'm really listening to somebody and seeing them because their body relaxes. There's more of themselves present. They're getting that they're talking to a real person who's taking them as a full, real person. That I'm not, again, presuming about them. I'm trying to actually take as much of them as I've come to know into account in light of what they are now also saying to me. And the difference between that and taking just words and trying to pin them on someone, I heard you say ... and then sort of make it a little bumper sticker with a pin that I'm going to stick on them, that is not any evidence of good listening, because it's the lack of evidence of good perceiving. If the perceiving has happened and I'm demonstrating that by the how I'm listening, and my listening reflects that I'm actually perceiving them, that's a really different encounter than otherwise. And I think it's part of the fun of communication. This is where communication being a miracle and not a frequent one does not mean that it's not, nevertheless, a great work, joyful, hard, important, sometimes elusive, but necessary, attractive, compelling, urgent work. And I think all of that together is part of why both listening and perceiving, or that is hearing and seeing, are really bound up together in a really fundamental way. The total body experience that I'm trying to describe about perceiving and hearing is really about deepening empathy. The probability that I'm able to truly empathize with someone is not just about their words or just about what their words may be pointing to or referring to. It's about the fullness of their experience as a person and them communicating something that I want to receive so that I actually, to some degree, come to enter, at least to the degree I can, enter their world, their experience, their feelings, their perceptions, not because they're mine, but because I'm wanting to willingly receive and trust what they're trying to convey. And when that happens, there is so much greater empathy. It's like all kinds of veils of various kinds that confuse and make communication so hard begin to dissipate. They're pulled down, they're rearranged, they're pulled aside, and I can enter into a different space. It's like that moment in a conversation that we sometimes have where we go, oh, you're saying this. And suddenly we now know, each party knows, that we've now crossed a different line of communication. Oh, got it. I see. So what you're saying was this. And suddenly when that moment of empathy comes and the breakthrough occurs and I feel like I'm actually really understanding it, it might be shocking, which is why I then do externalize it often by literally using words like that and saying, oh my gosh, I completely got that wrong. I now see what you're really saying is this. Is that what it is? They go, yes, that's what I really, and the difference is the presence of empathy. And empathy, even when you're wanting to give it, doesn't make it automatic. It often has to be something that emerges out of the communication experience itself. And that's where the delight and fun can happen. Occasions, that's the source of great humor. In other cases, it may come about as a result of tears. But whichever it is or anything in between, that's what full-bodied communication is about. And it therefore involves hearing, what we do with our ears and our hearts, what we perceive, how we see and receive another person's being, and how it is that we enter into one another's space. That is, exercise empathy. In that moment when suddenly there is such a breakthrough and you feel like you're saying, and sometimes do say out loud, oh, I see, you meant this. I thought you meant that. When that actually happens, that is a breakthrough. And it's literally about tying together what we perceive, what we literally feel as though we come to see and know. And we do so because of a breakthrough in understanding the connection between your words and your meaning in ways that are compelling and suddenly sometimes revelatory, shocking. And a breakthrough in my ability to then say, I got it. I had not gotten it. And now I see. I tell you, when that happens, it is like Amazing Grace is playing in the background. And I want to say, I once was blind, but now I see. That's what it feels like. A real revelatory discovery. Conversing is produced and distributed in partnership with Comment Magazine and Fuller Seminary. Peter Labberton is our engineer and editor. Evan Rosa is our producer. For more information about Comment Magazine, visit comment.org, where you can subscribe, read the current magazine issue, and browse their archive. Fuller Seminary is an evangelical, multi-denominational graduate institution committed to providing indispensable formational education for diverse Christian leaders everywhere. For information, visit fuller.edu. I'm your host, Mark Labberton. Thanks for listening with me.